Alright, let's get started. Welcome, security personnel and facility commanders, to this formal explainer. We are here today to review the severe threat profile of SCP-035. I'll be your narrator for this briefing, and I need you to listen closely, because the protocols we're outlining here, they're absolute. This is a mandatory Keter-class review, and there is zero room for error. Here is the SITP for today. We're going to cover 4 phases. 1. Threat identification. 2. The psychological vector. 3. Containment degradation. And 4. Security mandates. Grasping these 4 phases is, quite literally, a matter of life and death for anyone stationed at this facility. Alright, Phase 1, Threat Identification. Let's get into what we're actually dealing with here. So, SCP-035, we're talking about a Keter-class entity that was originally pulled out of an 1800 and redacted sealed crypt inside some abandoned house in Venice, Italy. Now remember, that Keter designation isn't handed out lightly. It denotes a highly unpredictable, intensely hostile containment scenario. It means we need eyes on it constantly. On the surface, the object just looks like a standard, pristine white porcelain comedy mask. But without any warning whatsoever, it will violently and spontaneously shift states into a cracked, weeping tragedy mask. And when it does this, a terrifying retroactive anomaly kicks in. Every single existing visual record, we're talking photographs, video footage, even hand-drawn illustrations, they all automatically warp to reflect its new appearance. It literally corrupts our records instantaneously. But the physical danger goes way beyond just messing with our cameras. There's this highly corrosive, viscous black liquid constantly seeping from the entity's eye and mouth holes. And the way this stuff degrades material is all over the map. Glass actually reacts the slowest, which, as you'll see, directly informs how we contain it. Living organisms, on the other hand, they suffer immediate accelerated decay, zero chance of recovery upon contact. The craziest part is we have absolutely no idea where this liquid comes from, and strangely, you can only even see it from the front of the mask. Moving on to Phase 2, the psychological vector. Commanders, I need you to pay strict attention to this proximity alert. Just standing within 1.5 to 2 meters of it, so about 5 to 6 feet, or even just making direct visual contact triggers an overwhelming psychological urge to put the mask on. If someone actually places it on their face, an alternate brainwave pattern immediately overwrites the host's. The original consciousness is completely snuffed out, resulting in instantaneous brain death. The subject's body then rots at a highly accelerated rate until it's basically a mummified corpse. But the kicker? The entity retains total cognitive and mechanical control over that rotting tissue. And do not, under any circumstances, underestimate the cognitive threat here. Intelligence reports confirm SCP-035 has scored in the 99th percentile on literally every intelligence and aptitude test we've thrown at it. It appears to have a photographic memory too. So don't be fooled if it acts amiable or flatters you during an authorized interview. It possesses a terrifying intellect. It's incredibly charismatic, fully telepathic, and it effortlessly penetrates the subconscious of anyone it converses with. It's basically mining your own memories to use them against you. Its manipulation tactics are meticulously sadistic. It can force sudden, profound changes to a person's psychological state using just linguistic persuasion, just talking. It's prompted mass suicides among our research staff, organized violent insurrections, escape attempts, you name it. And the absolute worst part, it doesn't even need a living human host to do damage. It is fully capable of animating mannequins, corpses, and statues to inflict physical violence on its behalf. Okay, Phase 3, Containment Degradation. This is where things get really bad. This is probably the most critical part of our briefing today. Over the last few months, paranormal phenomena inside the containment sector have violently escalated. Let's look at the timeline. Addendum 06 noted unintelligible whispering and severe migraines among the staff. By Addendum 07, the cell walls were literally secreting human blood. Addendum 09 details our disastrous attempt to use an SCP-148 coding, which just created a deadly greenhouse effect. And finally, Addendum 11 documents complete electronic failure and visual apparitions. Let's break down exactly what this looks like on the ground. So the walls of the containment cell started secreting human blood, right? But it wasn't just pooling, it was forming these highly complex sacrifice diagrams, alongside paragraphs written in Italian, Latin, Greek, and Sanskrit. As you can imagine, this caused catastrophic morale damage across the sector. Why? Because these diagrams specifically depicted the ritualistic mutilation of our own facility personnel and their loved ones. And any researcher assigned to examine these walls was continually subjected to loud whispering and this unnerving, high-pitched laughter from literally nowhere. At the exact same time, The degradation of its immediate glass case dangerously accelerated. The glass now just spontaneously shatters, abruptly spraying that highly corrosive black contaminant all over the room. And here's the bottom line. This sudden shattering has directly resulted in 6 casualties and 3 fatalities among our research and cleanup crews. 3 people dead, just from the glass giving out.
So, in response to this escalating madness, High Command tried to get clever. They coated the cell with SCP-035, hoping to block the entity's telepathic negativity. Well, that catastrophically backfired. It created this verifiable greenhouse effect that basically trapped and amplified all that dread right inside the room. Now, if you enter the cell, the symptoms are brutal. Severe migraines, intense suicidal tendencies, heavy hemorrhaging from the blood vessels around your eyes, mouth, and nose. And within 3 hours of exposure, you're looking at a deep, inescapable psychosis where victims actively try to murder themselves or their colleagues.
And to make matters worse, this hostile environment is actively eating our infrastructure. That contaminated blood saturating the cell walls, it's become shockingly corrosive. We are currently registering an extreme pH level of 2.4. Because of this insane acidity, the containment environment is virtually impossible to manage. I mean, we're seeing physical appendages made of blood literally forming out of puddles to grab and harm our personnel. The cell doors are self-locking on their own accord, trapping panicked staff inside. All electronic devices, lights included, fail entirely. That plunges our cleanup crews into pitch darkness, forcing them to rely on non-electric light sources. The structural degradation is so severe now that the room's walls need full replacement within 7 days. 7 days at best. Which brings us to Phase 4, Security Mandates. Look, given the apocalyptic degradation of the site, physical containment now requires 4 non-negotiable steps. 1. SCP-035 must be kept inside a hermetically sealed glass case, no fewer than 10 centimeters thick. 2. That case goes inside a steel, iron, and lead-shielded room. 3. The primary doors are to be triple locked at all times. 4. Every 2 weeks, the entity is moved to a new glass case, and the highly contaminated old case must be disposed of via SCP-101. Oh, and a trained psychologist must remain on site at all times. Period. As for the mandatory personnel rules, they are as follows. A minimum of 2 armed guards must be posted outside the room at all times. And I want to be crystal clear here, they are never, under any circumstances, to cross the threshold into that room. There is an absolute ban on entering the containment area without full hazmat protection, and because the risk of telepathic compromise is so high, we are mandating extreme rotation frequency for all personnel dealing with the anomaly, plus immediate psychological evaluations for anyone who makes contact with it. Now, I need to firmly and unequivocally shut down a recurring issue coming from the research staff. There is an absolute denial of host privileges. We've had several insubordinate requests asking to grant SCP-035 a temporary host just to study its behavioral changes. Let me be clear, those motions are permanently denied. Furthermore, under no circumstances is this entity to be brought anywhere near regenerative anomalies like SCP-4715 or SCP-682. Think about it. If SCP-035 successfully bonded with an unkillable entity, their regenerative qualities would totally negate the mask's decay. It would have a permanent host, creating a literal apocalyptic threat vector. So, no, it's not happening. Alright, we're wrapping up, but I'm going to leave you with a pretty grim reality. Even with our most desperate cleaning and reinforcement efforts, the current containment walls have an estimated lifespan of exactly 2 months before they catastrophically fail. SCP-035 is destroying its cage faster than we can rebuild it. So I leave you, commanders, with this crucial, provocative thought. What happens when those walls finally give way? You need to start preparing yourselves right now for the inevitable reality of deploying a completely new, entirely isolated containment facility. Review your protocols. Dismissed. This concludes today's briefing. If you wish to maintain your current clearance level and ensure continued access to the Versarian database, a subscription to this channel is mandatory. Secure your connection by leaving a like on this file, and log your requests in the comments section below to dictate which anomaly we unseal next. Stay vigilant and expect your next set of logs every day. Secure, contain, protect.